Well, I think we're going to see the reactions that follow this launch event. Mirela, as you know, we started this process by screening more than 100 projects initially. Uwe mentioned before, we have weekly announcements of new projects. We had certain criteria and filters, the value chain coverage, the size, the maturity of the project. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at the projects that come in, and then at certain points in time, sort of launch an update and then upload projects to the platform on top of what we have today, as long as we're supporting this initiative.
Thank you.
Like I said, we're going to make the necessary contact information available. Please reach out.
Thank you very much, Marcus, also for this. For the several other questions we have received, they are more of a look and feel type of questions from the platform. So we would like to take the time and look at them and reply to you, not necessarily in this event. I have a question for you from my side, and I believe would be interested to hear your opinion on when doing this work and when analyzing all these 30 plus, if I can say, valleys. And like you mentioned, we started from more than 100 to really categorize them, decide if they are really qualifying for a valley definition as we wanted. What did you find challenging in particular, especially challenging your view, existing view of the market? Marcus, Uwe?
Uwe.
Well, first of all, our market view was confirmed by our work to a very large extent. I mean, looking at the hydrogen valleys, there is many legacy type of projects that received public grants, are smaller type of projects that showcase and demonstrate how you can use hydrogen in various applications. And those projects are mostly very well advanced, and that's also what we expected. At the same time, we have recently seen many announcements, really very large-scale type of projects, focusing more and more on industrial offtake of large volumes of hydrogen. Of course, we are all aware that those projects will have a phased approach, even though we now talk gigawatt type of projects. They will also start with a 20, 50 megawatt project within the next years, and then gradually moving up to larger scale. This, to a large extent, confirmed our market view. What was striking for us is the percentage of valleys and valley representatives that really go for a commercial approach. Yeah. Already now leaving behind the grant funding approach and really focusing on commercial type of development, reaching a scale that allows them to compete with conventional technologies. The requirement for that, of course, is that the right regulation is in place, yeah, to create a level playing field of gray versus green. But that is certainly the route to go, and we already see this tendency today.
Thank you, Uwe. And somehow you partially touch on my second question, and last, I promise, because we also have to move on with the event. Did you see what were the most striking differences, if any, between the different valleys, between the continents, if I can say that? Did you see difference, and which were the most striking difference between the continents? Because, like we said from the beginning, we claim that we in Europe at least invented, if I can say that, the hydrogen valley concept. And we have, and if you look at the map, you already see most of the valleys in Europe. But indeed, we have identified many in other continents. Are there any difference? Which are the most striking ones?
Well, let me, without going down the dangerous path of stereotyping here about how different markets develop, I would still say that there are differences across the continents. I think For instance, clearly Europe, and Bart mentioned this in the very beginning, comes out of now almost a decade and more of successful demonstrations of hydrogen application, large role of European and national governments, funding programs, grants. So we have a lot of projects in Europe that are actually tailored to certain types of public funding support schemes, whether that's the FCHJU's funding, whether that's national funding, whether these are the IPSI projects in Europe that want to go for that particular framework. So there's a very strong link here. Even though I should highlight also for the European values, we see now more and more private sector lead developers, utilities, gas and electricity grid operators, etc., who take the lead rather than the public or the academic side. I think in the US and in North America, clearly a strong commercial focus. Their project has to be commercial. We're going to hear from Mike Ducker later in the event. So there's a lot of risk capital, venture capital involved rather than grants. And I think in Asia, what we found a strong role of the public sector in defining projects, in planning and master planning, where hydrogen valleys fit into the overall hydrogen agenda of the country. And of course, as Sarah mentioned earlier, Australia is a unique case, maybe similar to Chile and South America, which is really about maximizing the potential they have for clean hydrogen locally, but also offering it to the rest of the world. So those would be the broad, I think, categorizations that I would dare to make right now, and maybe the small differences.
Thank you very much. And I will again thank you for the whole work so far, and looking forward to finish this and continue even after a while this good project. I leave you for now, and I let's see if during the panel discussion we can answer even more of the questions coming from the audience. Thank you very much to both of you. So now, as we are a bit behind the schedule, and we like very much to talk about the subject, because I believe all of us, we are, like I said at the beginning, hydrogen friends, I would propose we skip the foreseen break. I hope you can all agree with us. I hope you can quickly go and pick up a coffee, a tea, and let's continue with our event, so that we have sufficient time to address and discuss a bit the subject today. So we could not have, of course, had a launch event without recognizing and getting, even in this event, involved the valleys, the representatives of the valleys. And as you can imagine, it was very, I would say, difficult for us and challenging to select out of the 32 which valleys we will invite today to debate a bit with us about the entire initiative. And I have to say it was a decision that we should take some of the big valleys, but also the new ones, maybe valleys that so far have not presented to you, or you have not maybe heard much about, although very big and very successful as projects. So we have invited today 4 of them, and one from United States, one from Australia, and from Europe, the newly founded project by the joint undertaking in Mallorca, in one of the islands in Europe, and also one valley from Germany. So it is my great pleasure to introduce the first panelist, Mr. Michael Ducker. He's the Vice President, Renewable Fuels in Mitsubishi Power, and he's the developer of the Advanced Clean Energy Storage Project in Utah, in US. Michael, really thank you very much for joining us today. We know it's very early in US, and the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great, yes, yeah, so just a quick introduction. Again, thanks for having us here, at least early my time this morning, early afternoon for those in Europe. As quick background, the Advanced Clean Energy Storage Project will be the world's largest renewable energy storage and green hydrogen fuel project. With over 1,000 megawatts of electrolysis capacity co-located with salt cavern storage, we'll be able to store near limitless supplies of green hydrogen to serve the power industry as an energy storage asset or as a green fuel for hard to electrify verticals like industrial or long-haul transport sectors. Just to put into perspective for the power industry, one of our caverns can store 150 gigawatt hours of reliable and dispatchable carbon-free energy in the form of hydrogen. This is 150 times the entire installed base of lithium-ion batteries across the United States. And this represents a tremendous opportunity, therefore, to more reliably and affordably integrate renewables, especially for seasonal shifting, in a region in the United States has actually already seen market signals requiring those capabilities. In fact, California last year curtailed nearly 1 million megawatt hours of excess renewable energy in the spring alone, yet we saw the first rolling blackouts in California across the grid in over 2 decades in the summer when they were short on energy. So this opportunity to seasonal shift, those market signals actually are there today and are only going to grow as more and more renewables are added to the grid. And also, since each cavern can store 5,500 metric tons of hydrogen, this of course can also significantly support decarbonization of the hard electrify verticals like I talked about. Our site has the capability for upwards of 100 caverns, and so the opportunity to support deep decarbonization in power, industrial, and transportation sectors is immense. So with that, we're very excited at the momentum that our project can bring to the international green hydrogen community. And of course, we're honored to be part of one of the flagship projects being highlighted today. Look forward to discussions here in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael, for shortly introducing your project. And now let's go to the other part of the world, I would say, to South Australia, and introduce Mr. Attilio Pinieri, founder and CEO of H2U, the hydrogen utility, but also developer of the Eyre Peninsula Gateway project in South Australia. Attilio, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mirella. And first and foremost, I just want to congratulate you and Bart for getting this initiative to fruition. Indeed, I was at a workshop in October 2018, the launch of the Clean Innovation, the Innovation Challenge, and really you and Bart were the first promoters of the concept altogether. Our project is very much a project designed around the integration of multiple value chains to really deliver scale for industrializing hydrogen. So we're quite fortunate to be able to engage with a effective domestic demand for ammonia in the region that we are developing the project, that enables us to really work towards an early activation of this project at around 75 megawatt and 40,000 tons of ammonia production per year, about 8,000, 9,000 tons of hydrogen. But also in a location where we can engage with other industrial realities. There's a nearby steel mill to the southern end of the project, but also an existing LPG export terminal that can be used in the future to then expand the project to really support the development of the export market for countries such as Japan, but also the new developments in relation to the maritime sector. We're very fortunate to work with a very strong group of technological supporters from Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, which was also invested in our company just recently, and then technology partners including Casale and Nel, SIAD from Italy, and looking at the integration of concepts also in the green steel sector as a future development in the project. We started working with an MHI company, which is Prometals. We're also in a unique position because we believe our project is really the first of a wave of green ammonia, green hydrogen projects at commercial scale that's actually going in the implementation phase. We've actually just completed the procurement for the front-end engineering design. We'll make an announcement in early February around our contractors and the technology partners that you see in this slide. And we're really aiming to close finance at the end of before the end of the financial of the calendar year 2021. So it's very excited to be able to share some of the lessons learned around the project. And also, I think one thing that was touched on in the presentation by the colleagues at Roland Berger is the importance of the role of government, not just in terms of subsidies, but also in supporting the creation of the ecosystem around the needs for regulation and other things. I think it's fair to say that a big part of the success of our initiative is also in relation to what we've heard in relation to the federal government in Australia, but also the state government in South Australia. There's really mobilized a lot of resources, particularly with the establishment of a hydrogen regulatory working group and obviously grant funding and other initiatives to really facilitate the establishment of the industry in Australia. In particular, I think they're trying to promote South Australia as one of the places where the supply chain can really take a very strong foothold. So we're very excited to be sharing some of the details of our project through the Hydrogen Valleys platform.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mirella.
Thank you very much, Attilio. And now let's get back to Europe. My pleasure again to introduce Maria Hen Caparros. Again, apologies if I don't pronounce well your names. Innovation and New Energies Manager in Enagas, but also developer of the Green Highland project, which is our newly funded project of the fuel cell and hydrogen joint undertaking from the last call 2020 in the island of Mallorca. Maria, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you, Mirella, and congratulations for the event. We have more than 500 participants, so it's really amazing. Congrats for that. I would like to introduce in 1 minute the project Green Highland, which is based on the deployment of green hydrogen across the entire value chains in Mallorca, including the deployment of key infrastructure to supply green hydrogen to multiply end-use applications. It's a 5-year project with a total initial investment of approximately 50 million euros. And the main goal is to showcase the capacity of hydrogen to decarbonize a European island, maximizing the integration of renewable energies, while facilitating widespread integration of green hydrogen into Mallorca's energy system, becoming the first integrated hydrogen hub at the scale in Southern Europe. Green hydrogen will facilitate the energy transition and decarbonization in the region by producing at least 300 tons of renewable hydrogen locally per year, which will have multiple applications on the island, including the fuel supply to a fleet of fuel cell buses and fuel cell rental vehicles, the generation of heat and power for commercial and public buildings, the supply of auxiliary powers for ferries and port operations, and the creation of a hydrogen fuel station. The project includes green hydrogen injection into the island's gas pipeline network through a guarantee of origin system to decarbonize the gas supply. The project will also include the development of business models for replicating the project to other European islands and beyond, and a roadmap for the development of a complete renewable hydrogen economy in Mallorca and the Balearic Island, in line with the environmental objectives set for 2050. The project is coordinated by us, by Enagas, and promoted together with other entities like Acciona, CEMEX, and Revexis, because it's also part of the CEMEX reindustrialization land in Lloseta, Mallorca. It's supported by the Spanish and the Balearic government, and as you may say, it's receiving funding from the fuel cell and hydrogen joint undertaking. So the consortium is made up of a total of 30 partners from 11 different countries, 9 of them from the European Union, plus Chile and Morocco. And thank you for this opportunity. We are really open to collaborate with other hydrogen valleys and projects. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you also for quickly introducing this project. And now the last, I would say, valley or project that we have chosen to present today and a bit discuss with you, we'll see in a moment, is from Germany. And again, my pleasure to introduce Mike Blicker, Strategic Project Development and Scientific Team Coordinator in Hamburg University of Applied Science, coordinator of the Living Lab Northern Germany project. Mike?
Yes, thank you for the introduction and the opportunity to present our project here. There's supposed to be a slide of our project. Yes, thank you. Yes, we are coordinating the Living Lab of Northern Germany, and together with our partners, we are working on a holistic project or maybe you can also say on an H2 ecosystem, as was said before, in northern Germany, with a goal to show the path to decarbonization of 75% in 2035 in our region. We have altogether 25 projects and 18 demonstrators, of which we have 8 electrolyzers, which sum up to a total production capacity of hydrogen of over 40 megawatts. And in another project part, we have a waste heat recovery, mainly from industry, which sums up to 700 gigawatt hours per year, which then makes a total decarbonization of 570,000 tons of CO2 per year within the project. The projects are spread over 4 hubs, which are mainly located based on the energy infrastructure in Northern Europe. And at these hubs, our 50 partners from industry, science, and politics work together on this project, and we have really included the whole value chain from production over transport to usage in industry, as well as transport and other applications. The total investment we will have in the project is 325 million euros, and around 1/3 of this is going to be public funding.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you also for your short introduction. So now I would like to ask you all, the 4 developers, representatives of the valleys, to turn on your cameras. And let's try to we have about 15 minutes. Let's try to see a bit if you share the same experiences, if you, I don't know, have identified maybe the same barriers. What would be, let's say, your opinion on few aspects, which I hope I can still have the time to get from you. So I would like to ask, and adding to the 4 valleys, yes, I would like also to invite again Marcus and Uwe to join this panel for this discussion. The developer, I would say, of the platform, and the persons that were in contact with you in the last months, almost on a daily basis. So I would like to turn to the 4 valleys and ask you if you can tell us, of course, who was or what was the initiator of the project? Was a person? Was something that came from your valley? Something that what did you push you to do the project? And why did you do it? What was your initial motivation? Can I start with you, Michael, in US?
Sure. So, there's a couple of things happening, at least on our side. I'll talk first from the company basis, why we went this route. So, Mitsubishi Power, part of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, we really had a evolution within our company, really a focus too on making sure we're providing products and solutions to help our customers more affordably and reliably combat climate change. Mm-hmm. And so even if you look at our product line and where we're at historically has gone from maybe a more heavy fossil rich product lineup to now solutions that really support integrating and again really achieving that mission of affordable, reliable decarbonization. And so now we're no longer just offering manufactured products, we're actually going and investing in development projects. And so to try to get some of these off the ground, we're actually making investments as a company at the project level, again, as opposed to just being a manufacturer. And so that leads us to the Advanced Clean Energy Storage Project, where we were competing for a gas turbine supply contract right adjacent to our project site for the Intermountain Power Agency. Hopefully those have heard about that project, but those are the world's first gas turbines that have been specifically designed for green hydrogen and fuel. Mm-hmm. And so part of our process there was, while we were competing for that project, we saw an opportunity to advance really green hydrogen that ultimately would serve that project at the site adjacent to Intermountain Power. And so we got into a joint venture with Magnum Development and started developing that project. And ultimately, we're not looking just to serve the Intermountain Power Project, but again, really looking to create a hydrogen hub there in Delta, Utah, to support multiple verticals looking to decarbonize. So that's a bit of our, we'll say, our company background and how we've evolved, and then ultimately what led us into the more specific project here for the Advanced Clean Energy Storage Project with Magnum.
It's very interesting indeed, the experience you've had with this big project. What about you, Attilio? What did motivated you? What did pushed you to put in motion, if I can say, this project?
Thanks, Mirella. We were set in this direction because we're a specialist green hydrogen infrastructure developer. But specifically to the project in South Australia, South Australia really is a living lab of renewable energy integration. I think there's a lot of initiatives that you would have heard, not just in the hydrogen space, starting in the wake of the 2016 power outage. And it's a place that's now leading the world. It's basically neck and neck with Denmark in terms of variable renewable energy. So for us, it was a great opportunity to really work on large-scale integration of renewables into hydrogen. And the other side of the story there is also, I think, really speaks to the concept of the valley that you're trying to facilitate. Is we were able to identify demand for hydrogen or hydrogen derivatives that could be addressed more cost effectively by producing locally, still at a scale, but in the South Australian electricity grid system, and the growth potential beyond that really positions the project for growth in terms of export. The other thing that really has helped us enormously is the recognition of the strategic role of hydrogen by the state government in South Australia back in 2017. And together with two other organizations, we've been the recipient of a dedicated grant program from the Renewable Technology Fund that was established by the government. And really that has enabled us to de-risk the project to the point where now we started the initial concept, which was designed for a smaller scale demonstration around 15 megawatt. And by engaging with demand and evolving the design, we're actually now entering the feeder design in a 75 megawatt design space. And that also has been facilitated by what's happening globally with the industry, and the fact that, 4 years ago it was very hard to think about doing something of this scale. Now we can do that, and projects even bigger. Yeah.
Thank you. Maria, are you still with us? Can you give your opinion? What motivated Mallorca to put in place such a project?
In our case, motivation was that on December 2018, CEMEX with its industry, that is have a cement plant in Mallorca, in Lloseta, announced that they will close the plant, the cement plant. So some industry partners and of course the Balearic government start to think about which kind of projects we can develop there in order to reindustrialization the land in Lloseta. And the idea was to develop some projects with this focus. So in our opinion, we think that hydrogen can play a key role in all the processes related with reindustrialization, decarbonization, energy transition, and so on. And we have a common interest with other entities like Acciona, of course, CEMEX, like the EMT, which is the municipal transport enterprise that is there in Mallorca. So in parallel, Mallorca is a really good scenario because you can think that they receive more or less 12 million tourists per year, every year. So for us, it would be the perfect scenario to develop this kind of projects in order to develop a sustainable hydrogen ecosystem, to scale, of course, this ecosystem. We are going to start with this project, and the idea is to scale up the project and replicate the project in other territories. We are also developing another region, hydrogen hubs in Spain, not only Mallorca, in the Iberian Peninsula. So we are convinced that the hydrogen would play a key role in this decarbonization and energy transition. So the main reason for Mallorca was that there was a vendor transition process. There were some entities who were very interested in promoting this kind of project, so we joined together.
Thank you, Maria. I hope everybody heard you. I got a bit of a comment that participants cannot hear you. So next time, if you can speak a bit louder or closer to the microphone.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I was with the microphone up.
Better. Okay, good.
Sorry.
Anyway, I heard, not
Okay.
Perfect, but I heard, and
Okay.
I hope it's the same for the participants. I'm not going to ask you to repeat what you said.
Sorry.
Thank
It's
you.
a brief summary is for our industrialization goal. So in our case, we try to industrialize this land, which would be close the cement plant. So we think that hydrogen could play a key role for decarbonization and energy transition in
Thank you, Maria. Thank you for repeating that. And now, Germany, Mike, what did motivate you or the north part of Germany to go into such a big project?
Yes, well, let's say in total, I mean, there is the energy transition, which is which is something we all have to face at the moment. And the starting point for our project was actually a former project, which is still running, which is called the Northern German Energy Transition, which was where we have built up a very strong partnership with over 60 partners. And we have already quite good experience in working together over a strong network in a quite good value chain. And in this project, we had mainly focused on, let's say, the energy grid and how to use properly the electricity depending on the demand. And we had some small electrolyzers, but we were seeing that the next step is then going more into decarbonization and more into sector coupling. And so we were starting with this partnership, and I think almost half of the partners we have now in the new project were no more than half were partners in the project before, and this was really a very good opportunity because we have a strong partnership. Yeah, we have built up a way how to work together, and this was helping a lot to push the project. We have good connections to politics. We have good connections to the private sector. So yeah, this was basically the starting point. And as I said before, it is the main driver is the energy transition, and we see that this is the logical next step we have to go.
Thank you. I'm hearing, I think, common things, different things. And just quickly from your side, Marcus, because you have look at all 32, not to say the 100 or more than 100 originally. Did you see such a divergence in motivation from the developer side, from the mechanisms, I mean, can we say that all valleys have more or less the same motivation or not?
No. To give you a simple, I don't think that would do justice to the diversity and the differences in circumstances that they find locally. I think the ultimate results in terms of how the projects shape up, the value chain coverage, the underlying business models, the funding and financing solutions they find, you see a lot of commonalities. But really, when I think about the trigger and what drove projects, it's this big wheel of different things that Uwe mentioned at the beginning of the presentation. There are, and I think probably all of you would say there are multiple underlying motivations, but I think valleys have different ones which are most prominent. Whether it's clearly environmentally driven, part of a local decarbonization. Again, whether it's as in Mike's case, really there's a unique asset with an opportunity to put to use. Whether it's the Australian experience, whether it's just I think the North German Living Lab is a great example of a really multi-stakeholder common effort, dozens of partners coming together and together with many small projects build something bigger. So it is diverse, but I think the common idea is when you do bring people together, you're able to cover more steps of the value chain at once, create an integrated hydrogen project and get this entire thing to the next level.
Thank you, Marcus, for this overview, I would say, type of answer. Now to the US and Australia, because it's for a reason we selected you today to share a bit more of your experience or your insights with all of us and with the public. Why not? Because I noticed, by the way, that we had constantly more than 700 participants, really for the full time of the event. So if I could go back to you, Michael, your Hydrogen Valley, in our definition, it's a large project, both in terms of production, but also in the investment volume. If you could share with us what was the key to de-risk the entire project, but in particular, commercially speaking.
Sure. So, one of the things that as we came into the investment, we were lucky on is that the local developer had actually been developing the site for over a decade. So initially, the site was being explored for hydrocarbon storage of natural gas liquids and other systems. So ultimately, we had a good characterization of the site, a team that was really well connected to the local community, the state level. And so when we look at de-risking a project, particularly of this magnitude, of course, you need a lot of that local acceptance and understanding of the project site and all the permitting and regulatory requirements. All of that had already been, thoroughly vetted and reviewed as we came into the project. And then, looking at the opportunity right adjacent to the site, certainly is a very strong commercial opportunity. But we also, again, are exploring other sectors, and for us, really, it drove us to look at how do we take and actually use the power industry as an opportunity to achieve the scale, but then looking at other verticals who can, effectively, synergize and use the synergies of the scale we achieve in power in the sector. And just to put it in perspective, in the earlier stages here right now, we're looking about upwards of 100 ton per day type of production of green hydrogen. If you look at the transport sector, you're talking maybe 1 to 5 tons per day for a fueling station. And so by piggybacking or having the synergy between transport and power, the transport sector then can really benefit from the huge economies of scale we're getting in power, and again provide that kind of cross-sectoral decarbonization. So it really pushed us to again look at off-takers and commercial contracts beyond just the power industry and really looking at these opportunities in many of the other sectors here as well.
Thank you. Makes sense to me, at least. So Attilio, what about you? I mean, what was the key to de-risk your project? And again, especially commercially speaking.
Yes. So our project is really designed a bit like a Russian doll, where the demonstrator is a commercial scale plant developed on commercial terms. It's actually designed to risk a larger platform of production. So effectively, the ability to de-risk the project is really to tailor the project to this existing domestic demand. And in the context of Australia, you can imagine the fact that there is some pockets or areas of demand that are served over very long distances when it comes to chemicals such as ammonia or hydrogen. The ability to intercept this demand and produce locally, also if you want, the logistics cost advantage really enables the fact that we can deliver a cost-effective product to the end customers today. But really, there were 3 criteria for our project that really meant to de-risk the larger platform. We've got other projects as well in other parts of Australia, which are really, we're working on the basis of a commercial offtake, working on the basis of commercial project financing. And the third element was, which is key to our renewable energy integration strategy, is working on connecting a project directly to a transmission grid. because this is the platform and then we want to deploy for projects in what we call the export class, which is a market opportunity which is specific to Australia and other regions. But effective, to give you a measure just on this project, we're going to move from a demonstrator stage of 35 tons per day of ammonia, of hydrogen peak demand, 120 tons per day of ammonia, to nearly 700 tons per day as the project is fully developed in the second half of the 2020s. So it is clear that you can't go and build directly at that scale. And I think what Michael was covering really gives the same measure, where the initial stages are meant to really de-risk the project, both from a technical and regulatory perspective, but also most importantly from a bankability perspective. Another element of the risking for us is the ability to really aggregate supply chain partners that really bring the capabilities towards that industrialization. And one of many, but one that obviously we share with Michael, is Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and the fact that we really need to think about hydrogen plants in the hundreds of megawatts. The challenge is not necessarily the manufacture of the electrolyzers. Obviously that needs to scale up, but also is thinking what the balance of plant, both on the electrical side and the gas side, needs to look like to support these very large plants. So these early projects, close to 100 megawatt and beyond, are going to be the ones that are going to help really the industry scale up to that goal. So we're very pleased to be part of that. Yeah.
Thank you, Attilio. Again, I believe, at least to me, make all this make sense at the beginning of such a big project. Now, to Spain and Germany, I will put a totally different question, because I believe, in my opinion, again, you had something like a different challenge putting together such a large, huge consortium, I would say. So in your opinion, Mike, I go to you first. What was the challenge in putting such a big consortium together? Was necessary to have such a big consortium? And what were the challenges, like I said?
Yeah, as I said before, luckily we had quite some experience with such a big consortium, and I think it was an advantage that I mean, I'm at a university and we are coordinating this project, so we have some kind of a neutral position there. I think we can understand for sure the commercial interests of our partners. On the other hand, we have a good knowledge about what has to happen the next years in the energy sector. So this was helping a lot, and for sure it was a challenge to find a common language and a common understanding of what we want with all these partners. So we have invested quite some time to bring together our partners. We have built working groups for different topics. We have set up a group of some kind of steering board for the whole project, where everyone's somehow represented, and we have quite regular meetings already now, even though the official project start is just to come. So it's a lot of coordination activities in the end, yes, because I think if you have a consortium of 3-4 partners, it's much easier to set it up. So it took us a while, but on the other hand, it's very it's just very nice to work together, because the sum of all these components is much more than in the end it's much more than just the sum of these components, because we can work on a lot of synergies we find in the consortium. And this was already the same in the project before, because the experience which one partner has can be used a couple of times in the partnership again.
Indeed, it is rewarding after you succeed. Thank you for your answer. And now, Maria, in your opinion, was it challenging to put all these partners together? I know from the project, as much as I can remember right now, that there are different actors from different sectors. Was it difficult to put them together to come to this idea of the project?
Yeah, in our case, as I mentioned before, we are 30 partners from 11 different countries. And initially, when we start to think about the project, we have a very clear local idea of what we would like to do. but then we think that we need to, to increase and the goals of the project, and we need to involve a lot of partners. In that sense, we are very proud because there are a lot of partners inside the consortia that have a lot of experience, and in hydrogen activities and hydrogen projects. So for us, it's very important because there are some of the partners that is the first project, European project, hydrogen project, and for us it's very important to stay with them and to be with them in all the processes where we are thinking of which is the best fuel cell or the best electrolyzer that we are going to put in, how we are going to make the tenders, how we are going to make the procurements. Once I have the fuel cell, how we can install it, how we can operate it. So it's the first experience in that sense in Spain. So for us, it was so important to share the experience between the different partners in order to share the lesson learned and so on. So we have partners from the industry sector, from the academia sector, for the research, for the public administration. That is so important for us because since the beginning, the Spanish government and the Balearic government has helped us a lot and they're on board the project. So for us, it is difficult to manage 30 people or 30 entities, but it's so amazing in my case because we can learn a lot once about the others and share experience and share lesson learned. So it's a challenge, but pleasure.
Good. So as we don't have too much time, just very, very quickly, I cannot let this question not to be put today. I would like to know from you if you had any experience or how are you assuring the public acceptance? We talk about huge projects here, huge projects in different parts of the world. And how would you like to ensure this public acceptance? People living in this area, in these valleys, are you interacting with the local community? Do you have already a feedback? And I would like just very, very quick answers because we don't have too much time. So I start with you, Maria. 30 seconds. Local community, you mentioned Balearic Islands government. Did you talk to the people on the street? Public acceptance?
Yeah, I think that we have some partners in the project that is, for example, the University of Balearia and the Energy Institute of the Balearic Island as partner of the project. And we have a lot of activities included in the project focused on how we are going to disseminate and communicate all the process and to involve all the end users, because some of this part will be injected into the natural gas grid, so they're going to be used by the domestic users at the end of the chain. So we have a lot of activities there and some partners that are directly in contact with the people, I mean with the students, with the politicians, of course, that we have involved in the project. So for us, it's really important to communicate and disseminate all the results related to the project, and we have joined the project some partners related with these activities.
Thank you, Maria. Mike, 30 seconds, if possible. Public acceptance in north of Germany.
Yes, indeed, we have a special working group on that topic. We're making a so-called, we call it transition labs. So in every place where a demonstrator is built up, we have a communication and discussion panel, and we are going to interact with all the local stakeholders, which is also the private sector, but for sure the industry and the local authorities. So this is also a part of my colleague's research topic. So we are doing that, and I think it's very, very important, because especially if it comes to hydrogen, as you know, everyone says, okay, this is going to explode, so I don't have to do anything with that. So yeah, we have foreseen that, and we put quite some effort in it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And I hope one day I will not hear that anymore, because I hope we can all work together and explain to the public that hydrogen is not more dangerous than any other fuel or energy carrier. Anyway, Attilio, what's your experience with public acceptance in Australia?
In general terms, we're seeing a quite unique situation in Australia in terms of there's political support, which is very bipartisan, which is in the energy space is really unheard of. So you typically got the renewable camp and the fossil fuel camp completely divided. That is really promising. We have, in terms of the general public, there seems to be quite a lot of curiosity and support for hydrogen in general. I think one aspect which is probably very important in the context, a bit everywhere, but in the context of the projects in Australia, and the projects we're developing, is regional development. So we're talking about areas that might have an established industrial ecosystem, but they're generally low population and where there is, there's few opportunities for really good employment. So obviously, hydrogen seeking to large-scale hydrogen facilities seeking to be established in areas where renewables are strong will deliver on that. We're also working quite closely with the indigenous community, so the local Aboriginal group, around employment and training pathways for youth, both Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal. I think there is a lot of aspects that really will help us bring the project to fruition through that engagement to the community. Yeah.
I think this is important that we tell to the public also the advantage, not only the risk. Huh? So finally, Michael, anything in Utah, in US that you had to talk to the local community, something, any barriers you saw from that?
Sure. So I think the very simplest message we try to communicate is just because hydrogen is new to you does not mean hydrogen is new. And so, looks in the United States, we've been storing hydrogen in salt caverns in massive scales since the 1980s. We have over 1,600 miles of 100% hydrogen pipeline that go through major cities like Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, throughout the Gulf Coast. And in the decades of experience, using these pipelines and storage and operating hydrogen, we've had no major safety incidents. And so it's drawing on that rich experience of hydrogen in the petrochemical and refineries industry that most people just, again, aren't aware of, to now where it's becoming mainstream. It's really just trying to educate and show that we do have this rich history. And the great news is we haven't had, any major safety concerns. And we're going to draw on those best practices as we continue to develop hydrogen projects in the U.S.
Indeed, Michael, thank you very much. Now, because we are really behind the schedule a lot, I would say. I mean, not a lot, but about 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Just if you want to add anything, Marcus, before I close the panel.
I really think, I don't know, what do you think, Uwe? I think the answers of the panelists speak for themselves. I think there's a variety of ways to ensure public acceptance, get buy-in. I think the last point of an Attilio, regional development, industrial policy, jobs, value creation locally, it's a huge element. Education, communication, like Mike said, putting resources to it. As part of the project, we have seen that a lot. And I think just the fact that so many of these values involve so many stakeholders in the first place, all means you have a lot of multipliers in the communities already who are associated with the project. So, Uwe, I give you the last word, but I think that was really a very comprehensive picture.
Well, thank you. Well, let's make use of the platform. As Bart has said, it's an open platform. There is more values around, and some of them wrote an email already now during the session. So please, you are all invited to participate in this platform, make use of the matchmaking function of the platform, get in touch and exchange views. This is only the starting point.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Attilio. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Maria. And thank you, of course, Marcus and Uwe. I think we can continue till the evening and we can talk about that. Like I said, we like the subject. We work on it every single hour of the day. So, but unfortunately, we have to stop here. And again, thank you very much. For the participants, just to let you know that the platform has been developed outside the website of the Fuel Cell and Hydrogen Joint Undertaking. So the link has been provided here today, but also please register to our news, and tomorrow we will send again a recap of today's event and with a proper link to work on the platform. And now, with taking more time with me speaking, I would like to just give back the floor to my director, to Bart Biboik, who would address us with a small wrap up and closing. And again, thank you from my side, and keep in touch. Thank you, Bart. Please.
Thank you very much, Mirella. And I will not take a lot of time because we are already over 1 o'clock. But just regarding the platform, really, I'm surprised. It's really a wealth of information is there. It's really well structured. So I believe that all this information will help project developer, policymakers, industry, but also researchers to develop more hydrogen valleys. Because really, I believe that this platform will facilitate and initiate more hydrogen valleys around the globe, not only in Europe, but really around the globe. And it will also foster this collaboration between the existing hydrogen valleys to share the information. So this platform is really a perfect tool for that as well. And what I like very much in particular is also the matchmaking facility that's in this platform, because really this is the key, bringing people together. And if you bring people together, new ideas are starting to flourish. And this is the whole purpose of this platform as well. So very well done. For the next steps, well, we will launch the final report very soon. It will be available also on this platform. So once it's there, we will make for sure that there is some news and then that you know it's there. Also, we will need to think how we will continue the platform, because this was already raised in one of the chats. Indeed, it's a valid question because the project is now nearly finished, and so we believe that we need to continue. And I heard already encouraging words from the European Commission. They are starting to talk about Mission Innovation 2, and also they want to have hydrogen again in Mission Innovation 2. So perhaps within that Mission Innovation 2, we can again address this platform. But for sure, we need to continue this very valuable platform, at least for the next couple of years. Secondly, what I also would like to mention is the public acceptance. I mean, your last question was really, really important. With hydrogen now becoming more and more commercial, as we heard today, also the analysis showed that more of these hydrogen valleys are looking for commercialization of this thing. So not to try to reduce the public funding. And I fully agree with that. But I think the public acceptance is important. It's really, really important. We have to work with all the hydrogen valleys on that in the coming years, because we get commercial. And finally, I need to thank a lot of people, because of course this platform was made and got contribution from many, many people around the globe. But I would like to thank, of course, you, Mirella, because you were one of the driving forces behind the platform. And really big thanks not only for today, the moderation, which you did excellent as usual, but also for keeping pushing. Because I remember when we started the first discussions on the platform, we didn't have yet a very clear picture what we wanted to do. But if I see the result today, really fantastic job. Only I can congratulate anybody for that. Also, I would like to thank our colleagues, Germany, Australia, also really great thanks for supporting this initiative and really helping to get all the input in the platform. Finally, I need to thank our persons who really make it happen as well as Roland Berger and Inicom. Really great job. Very easy to see the platform, very easy to navigate through it. As usual, we know you always deliver a perfect job from high quality, so we are very happy with you. So that's it. Thanks for all the speakers again, and yeah, enjoy the platform. Thank you. Back to you, Mirella.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to all the speakers, to the project, to the participants. We still have about 400 till the end, I would say. I'm looking at that continuously, and I'm happy to see that in January, mid-January, after Blue Monday yesterday, I have to say, very huge interest on the hydrogen topic. So thank you, everybody. Please play with the platform. Please use the platform. Please use the matchmaking. Get in contact with the Valley. Get inspiration. And let us know again if you want to see something else. Really, thank you very much to everybody. Keep in touch. Do not hesitate to contact either us, Roland Berger, Inicom, and as always, we'll make sure that we give to you everything is needed for hydrogen to be part of our life every day. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.